Hey, enjoy this clip from my channel, The Line, where we do call-in shows 5 days a week and are adding 2 more shows a week, politically themed, here through the election. Also, don't miss Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast Tuesdays and Fridays, where you get podcasts. What's up, Roberto? You're going to vote for Donald Trump, it sounds like.
Yep, I sure am.
Sure. Give me your best reasons.
Well, the best reasons is, number one, he's a better candidate in the sense of, you know, he's a business person. He has taken businesses, you know, been very successful business person. That's one of the reasons why I voted for him in 2016 and 2020.
Okay.
So I believe that a person to run this country should be a good business person, because to be able to run this country like a business, he's a great negotiator. So, you know, when it comes to foreign policies and having to negotiate with other leaders of other countries, you need that good negotiating power. So definitely, I truly believe, I was kind of like listening to what you were saying about the economy, inflation, etc. And I still believe that he would be a better candidate to fix all that. And we were better off 4 years ago, and I can attest to that because I'm a truck driver. And as soon as he took office, about a year later, I saw that everything started going up after that. And as soon as Biden took office, our load started coming down. And let's not blame COVID for it, but
oh, no, sir. You don't get to poison the well and go, let's not blame the answer. That's like saying I have a runny nose, but let's not blame the flu for it just because I have a flu. So no, sir, Roberto. Do you have anything else you want to list before I take these down one at a time?
Go ahead.
Cool.
Take the floor.
Hey, have you ever been on an airplane?
Of course.
How many pilots do they have?
2 pilots.
2 pilots, right. And how would you feel if we replaced one of the pilots or both of the pilots with a businessman?
Well, if a businessman doesn't know how to fly a plane,
yeah,
then it's a problem.
So why would you want a president, a person who is a head of policy, and you're talking about negotiation, which is a part of being a politician? Why would you think that a businessman is the most qualified person to run a non-business entity?
Because this is basically a business entity.
It isn't.
I mean,
it is not. It is wildly different. It is wildly different between the fact that we have sovereign borders that we have to defend on the international stage. It isn't the same as like, oh, us versus Russia. It's just like sir, Roberto, I didn't interrupt you. I let you list everything out. We will take turns respectfully, right? And by the way,
go ahead.
Well, you'll be able to gripe about Harris in a moment, but we're going to talk about the Trump administration. Donald Trump is a business person. You say he is a good business person. Donald Trump has declared bankruptcy several times. If you value the assets that Donald Trump actually inherited, the value of them is well over $400 million. And depending on how you evaluate them, they actually approach $1 billion. Had he put those into investment funds and let a random index actually run his money, he would actually be worth more today than running the businesses himself. Now, that said, there are specific times where it goes, holy crap, look at this thing he did, and he did it for under cost. Now go ask the unions and the builders and the people who were actually a part of that and how many people he actually stiffed. Donald Trump, as a business person, has shown that he has an acumen for getting, that's not the right word, he has he is skilled at preserving himself, making himself richer at the cost, not just of other people, but other middle-class people and labor, that he will stiff them to be just a tiny bit richer. That is him as a business person. So if I were to say, look, a business person could be president and run the country the way he ran the business, I would apply that across the board. Donald Trump ran a business that apparently he wasn't aware was doing all these racist things like marking black people's applications for homes with a C, as in meaning colored, to make sure that they didn't sell to them. He apparently doesn't know all of these things going on in his business. Everything his business did bad, he claims total ignorance of, but we're meant to treat him with, give him the country where he's going to be ignorant, apparently, of all the things going on. But then we gave him 4 years in office where he made all of these promises of things that were going to be great. And guess whose economy is outperforming his? Joe Biden's. Guess whose economy set up his? Obama's. In fact, I will say, was impressed. I thought Donald Trump would tank Obama's economy, but he actually was able to perform and continue growth at roughly the same rate until COVID hit. And yes, when COVID hit, truck drivers were fine, Roberto. The country was not fine. And there are in your state 1 million people dead who did not have to die because he botched regulating and keeping people separated, where the lockdown should be, and this sort of mixed communication from the right on how lockdown should occur and whether they should occur at all, the utilization of masks, but most importantly, the distribution of the vaccine that he wants to take all the credit in the world for, as though he invented the vaccine. It was really my vaccine. And yet they had no distribution plan, which is what we found out when Biden got in office, even though we were at the point that they had vaccines ready to distribute. It ended up being a few governors that managed to get the first batches and make up the distribution plans because he had nothing. And the Biden administration came in and took that over. And again, when we're talking about the economy, by every measure that he gets to call his economy good, where we do use stupid tools like the stock market, Biden also gets to call his economy good. So if you're going to say that he's a great business person and the economy was better, the facts are against you. I'm returning the microphone to you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Okay. So as far as the airplane being run by a business person, the airplane does not take in any money. It does not, at least to be able to fly the airplane, it doesn't take any money. You don't handle anything regarding the airplane with money, etc. Whereas the United States does take in money in the form of taxes, which is more of a confiscation than revenue. But anyway, so it does take in taxes. It does have employees. It does have infrastructure, if you will, et cetera, that is ran by money, et cetera, et cetera. So this country does need to be run, like a business, for a business.
You're just saying cliche. Okay, no, Roberto. You can't. No, sir. You didn't let me talk, but you're now trying to go to a new point, and we're going to stop one point at a time. You're just repeating cliches. If just listing a few things they have in common mean that it's good, I could sit here and go, okay, well, you know what else the president has to do? They have to oversee the success of our people in uniforms. They have to command strength. They have to instill confidence, and they have to make sure that enough people are attentive to what's going on to see profitable success. So you know what we need is a volleyball coach. You're just listing cliches. The greater point is understanding policy, which, by the way, his own cabinet said he had no idea, and trying to talk about Roberto, there might be a businessman who would be a competent president, but I guarantee you it won't be the one whose essentially entire cabinet abandoned him and now won't be voting for him because they say not only does he not understand the job, he is hostile to America and should not be the president again. But don't listen to me, a filthy socialist who dislikes him for obvious reasons. Listen to his vice president. And I only pick the best people. I pick the best people, only the best. His own vice president, the attorney general who got him out of indictment charges and wrote the report that basically lied about what the Mueller report said, the summary of the Mueller report, who basically saved him from additional impeachments and came in and was like, I'm here to Donald Trump bend over and show me where to plant it. That guy turned on him, and they are calling him a threat to democracy. So who needs enemies when you have friends like those, Roberto? Please, Roberto.
Can I, yes, can you hear me?
I sure can. Yep.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, so can I tackle all these points that
You can tackle whatever you want, buddy.
threw at me? Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. So, so let's go back to the bankruptcy issue. You filed bankruptcy on 2 businesses, and at the end of the day, there's a lot of factors. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's a perfect business person. Nobody's a perfect person or anything like that.
Yeah, and some people aren't even good.
He hasn't filed bankruptcy personally. Okay. As far as him being a racist.
Okay, wait, Roberto. Before you go on to the next point, I'm gonna respond to that one, but I will deal one at one. First of all, it wasn't only 4, and or only 2. He has done at least 6, and there are additional ones for even smaller, like shell companies he had. But second of all, what was the second point you made regarding the bankruptcies? Oh, he didn't personally. Yes, Roberto, that is a thing rich people get to do. It's why rich people don't understand why even middle class and the low, whatever you call the lower class, the word lower, that's so degrading. But poor people, why they don't just make LLCs to basically run themselves. That is something that rich people get, is a way to go, all of the risks I do, all of the money I could owe people, all of that stuff, because I incorporated, I'm not fucked when this happens. That isn't a sign that he is a good businessman. That's a sign that he is a good con man, because he's been really good at losing other people's money and lying along the way of why it's happened. Now, if you want to go on to the racist point or respond to that, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and respond to that. But Jimmy, right there, you're Jimmy.
Yep, that's who I am.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So Jimmy, the laws are everybody has access to these bankruptcy laws. Everybody has access to corporations laws. Everybody has access have access to borrowed money for businesses and everything like that.
Incorrect. Redlining.
Why am I redlining? I'm not,
No, I'm telling you the answer. I'm telling you how you're not correct. Redlining actually still occurs today. We actually found out through investigations this year.
What's redlining? Excuse my ignorance. What's redlining?
Yeah, so they used to use it to just refer to the red lines they would put around zones and basically go, do not lend to black people who want to live here. Now you could just use it to go, any sort of money that's supposed to be accessible to the public, where there are policies and things in place that prevent them, or just people in place preventing them from going to black people. So, for example, we actually found out this year that if you look at the GI Bill and the distribution of the GI Bill, the amount that it is denied to soldiers of color versus white soldiers is much higher, and that soldiers of color literally were having their GI Bills denied. And so, yes, when you say everyone has access to these things, you are speaking from a place of privilege, Roberto, because not everyone has had access to those things.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't agree with it if it's done in the sense of racism.
Yeah, no shit.
Because
that's what we're talking about.
I'm a Cuban myself. I'm, relatively tan-skinned or dark-skinned, etc. So
yep.
I wouldn't agree with it. Now, if there's a statistic that says in this area there's more defaults, etc., and this and that, that's a reason for denying, for example, loans in a particular area.
I already said it, the GI Bill. Sir, already said the GI Bill. And if you want to look at poverty and the cycles that have put people into that, basically it is our own fault that these people have lower credit. And not to mention, it is also just harder to build credit if you are a person of color because of the different things. Like if your parents have property, your credit score will automatically be higher. So there are literally in place today racial systemic things that keep non-white people in poverty that have not gone away, that we are trying to rectify. But Roberto, I'm not impressed at the Biden's administration's ability to fix that either. Are they better at it? Yes. Are they good? No. So if you want to now move on to a different point about racism, I would still vote for a continuation of Biden, or what is the actual option, Kamala Harris, for being better. But we can now move on to another one since we've agreed that neither of them are good.
Yeah, that's fine. But as far as racism, let's jump into racism, since that was the next
Sure.
point that you
They're
brought up
eating the
earlier
dogs.
about black about him saying that he used the C for a color instead of I forgot what you said, but anyway, that doesn't matter. Have you seen that clip from Donald Trump in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, where they're interviewing him, and they actually ask him, if you were to be born again, how would you be born? And he answered, well, if I was to be born again or reincarnate, I would love to be born as an educated black person, because an educated black person has all these um, advantages, etc., blah, 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 for being a minority and this and that. Were you aware of that?
Oh man, you killed me. You killed me. He's not racist. He just thinks that affirmative action is actually privilege over just simply existing as a white person. You got me, Roberto. I lose that one. This is sarcasm, Roberto.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah. I know it's sarcasm.
Yeah,
now, good. Do you know that he also won the Ellis? I forgot.
Hey, Roberto.
The Ellis Award
Roberto.
with
Let me just let's get
with Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali, and
Roberto. He also called the guy who called himself a black Nazi the MLK Jr. ×2. I love this guy, the lieutenant of governor of North Carolina. Love this guy. Dude literally claims to be a black Nazi. Literally said that slavery is good and they should bring it back. And that he would own some people because some people should be slaves. So let's not sit here and pretend that if you go and run off, wow, was he able to go and align himself with the obvious ones, which your two options are like Rosa Parks, from which he has some cultural separation, but who's going to, even Ben Shapiro talks about how cool what Rosa Parks did was, and Muhammad Ali, an entertainer. Right? A fighter and entertainer. You're right. He's not racist. He just likes to watch him fight and recognizes the talent there. Are you going to ignore all of this shit? All the shit about talking about shithole countries, all of his, obviously the history with the Central Park Five, the fact that he felt he needed to be the head of let's really get to the bottom of this, whether the first black president was even born in America. And then now when Kamala Harris decided to be black, very conveniently, a completely fabricated lie, both of these things. And then let's not forget the most recent hits. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs. People are having problems. We're going to shut immigration down. I'm going to be a dictator on day one. We're going to shut down the border. The guy is so full of shit, his eyes are turning brown from the inside. Please respond.
Okay, so as far as racism, I mean, Kamala always comes out saying that, when she was in California, etc. It's a fact that, she would identify herself as an Indian.
Great, cite the fact.
As Indian. And
Roberto, hey, Roberto. Roberto, yes, you're right. I am interrupting you. I am interrupting you before you go on to another point. Roberto.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you so much for permission. Roberto, it's accurate to say she is Indian. Sometimes when I meet an Irish person, I only mention the fact that I'm Irish. I don't bring up the fact that I'm British and a little German. And frankly, I have the DNA of an Aryan's wet dream. I'm a waste. I'm a waste of blood to the white supremacists, I'm afraid. But it is accurate in the appropriate zone. She, however, never isolated herself from the fact that she is black. By the way, Donald Trump's claim also includes that she is, in fact, not black. And then you have people who work for him trying to spread this bullshit idea that her father, for being Jamaican, doesn't countify as black, even though he has descendants from the African slave trade, literally is a descendant of Africans. It is accurate for herself to, in some scenarios, call herself black, and in other scenarios, call herself Indian. There is no evidence that she has ever... No, whenever it is you are in a specific area. It's not a thing of like, hey, everybody, I'm here addressing a crowd of black people from historically black colleges and I'm giving a speech. Don't Don't worry, I'm gonna keep mentioning, and by the way, I'm a black woman, asterisk, also Indian. Did everyone catch that? And by the way, let me actually go get my 23andMe. None of the times you were talking about were conspicuous. And Roberto, I love the idea that your side thinks this matters at all, as though she got more or less votes for being... Sir, you were the one who said, you brought Kamala Harris up before any of us, before I did, and you're the one who brought up the Indian black thing. So don't lie and say you're the one who brought it up. I didn't bring up Harris. That was you, sir.
You brought up racism.
Correct. Correct. And you're the one who brought up the very silly point about Kamala Harris, which in isolation means nothing. Do you know that Donald Trump sometimes talk about being German despite the fact that he's also Irish? How come he's not? How come he's pretending to only be German? Why is that, Roberto?
Okay, that's fine, but
no, it's not. It's very important.
You can't call a person a racist.
Yes, I can.
If you don't,
they're eating the dogs.
You can't call a person a racist just because they've taken some of his words out of context. And
they're eating the dogs. Put they're eating the dogs in context, please.
They're eating. Oh no, but it is a fact. The problem is you haven't seen the people. It is a
incorrect
fact that the independent journalists are going into Springfield, Ohio, and talking to the people there that actually live there.
Right.
And they are confirming. Right. They're confirming it. Now, it might be isolated incidents.
No, it's not even isolated incidents because they're not confirming. Roberto, anecdotes. Anecdotes,
yes,
anecdotes are not confirmation. Yes, I will interrupt as much as I want, buddy. That's what we're here. Sorry that I had you marked as an atheist caller. You're actually agnostic. I'll fix that for you. Roberto, anecdotes are not...
I can't interrupt you, right?
Correct. You can't interrupt me, but I can interrupt you all I want. Roberto, listen, let me put it this way. It'll make you feel a lot better. I've decided to be a dictator on day one, and this is day one. Now you'll feel better because I'm just like your guy. Roberto, they aren't. They haven't confirmed anything. They have gone to people, and those people go, oh yeah, I done seen they took that dog and they took... And in fact, when they actually investigated, for example, this week, the cat that had allegedly been taken by Haitian immigrants, that was the beginning of this rumor where they attached to a police report. And that's the one, not even in Springfield, mind you, but that's the one that started this whole thing off. Guess what they find? Actually, Roberto, you're a very informed person. What did they find when they went and investigated the cat that was reported to the police as missing and that they suspected Haitian immigrants had taken it and either killed it or eaten it? What did they find, Roberto, this week? You know.
Enlighten me. No, I honestly
don't know. Roberto, so you know about, you don't, so you are here to say that you know, and yet the case that started this whole rumor, you don't know, Roberto. The cat's fucking fine and alive and was found healthy a few days later. That's literally the police incident that started the whole thing.
Where are you listening to this kind of news?
Roberto, I don't listen to much news. I read the news, and I will tell you this, Roberto, every place that you hope I read, Roberto, every place you hope I read, I also read. And then I check sources, and I make sure that there is actually confirming evidence. I don't just sit there and go, you got the wrong one, Roberto. If you think you're going to come on and be like, this guy just likes CNN. I think CNN fucking sucks. They are a sensationalist garbage. But the good news about journalism, and if you do print journalism more than you watch the shows, is a lot of times they source the actual shit. And so I go and I evaluate the best facts we have. And by the way, Roberto, it's not a happy ending. The story that we're talking about is not some happy story for her where it's like, oh, we found out now. I mean, not happy for the Republicans. Now that woman is hated by her neighbors for trying to get Haitians in trouble for her own irresponsibility with her cat. And that's the fucking problem, Roberto, is you want to sit here and go, how can you accuse them of racism when in fact, all of these facts that you're saying are true? Even if they were, he repeated them before any confirmation. But the fact is that they aren't true. And that when you actually investigate them, all you get are my friend Billy Bob Billy.
He got sure about that.
Yes, positive.
Sure that positive.
Positive.
Have you gone to Springfield, Ohio yourself?
That is a logical fallacy that if I went, whether or not I went to Springfield, Ohio, the claim was that we would be able to look through the police records and the 911 calls and hear all of these problems. And the fact of the matter is, Roberto, a claim made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. And when you look for the evidence, not the anecdotes for this, it is easy to dismiss.
Is it possible that they're being biased and not showing other evidence? In other words, withholding other evidence and other calls
Roberto,
pushing narrative? Is that possible?
Roberto,
Yes or no?
Roberto, in Springfield, Ohio, are you under the impression that that is a leftist location? Are you under the impression that that is a place that votes for Kamala Harris? You know that the reason why Donald Trump is going there now is because he has to recover because he might accidentally turn Ohio into a swing state. That area is so pro-Trump, it makes their nipples hard when he so much as sneezes. And it's those people, Trump's people, the mayor of Springfield, the governor of Ohio saying, please stop. Because Roberto, he also isn't coming out and condemning the violence that is now happening directed at Haitians. No, you know, there's a lot of very concerned people. And he even had to try and switch the day after. I know I said cats and dogs, but now I'm going to say geese. And I wish they were eating the geese. Fuck geese. Who needs geese? That's not pets either. Nobody's got pet geese. Nobody good anyway. Roberto, everything you're saying is just it's funny because you want to come in here and go, well, you're just the left news. Who are you watching? Which is very telling that you say watching when in reality you're repeating Newsmax. You're repeating Newsmax. You're repeating UAN. You're repeating Fox News. Okay, Todd, you're repeating Todd. Thank you. Thank you.
I talk to people in Springfield.
You're repeating Todd, right? Todd. The phrase "I'm an independent."
I don't even know who that is.
I just made up a name. That's your independent journalist. I'm an independent journalist, and I'm telling you it's not happening. So now I've made a claim. They've made a claim. Let's see who has the best foundation for what to believe. Last point, Roberto. I'll let you have the final word.
Oh shoot, we didn't even. I
got more calls. I got more calls.
Truck driver, COVID.
Great. Go ahead. Give it your all, buddy.
All right.
Ugh.
All right, perfect. So basically during Trump, even before COVID, the economy was moving forward. I saw it myself with trucking. The national debt, you know, he kept the national debt. I mean, Obama gave him the biggest national debt, you know, ever, you know, and he tried to keep it, you know, his first 3 years at about very close to 1 trillion. It was going up 1 trillion until
wrap it up, Roberto. Last word doesn't mean Gish Gallop. Wrap it up, buddy.
Right. So yeah, basically based on the way he handled his 4 years, he is definitely a better candidate than Kamala Harris that doesn't even know what she's
Kamala. Her name is Kamala.
Or anything like that.
Her name's Kamala. It's been long enough. You can get the name right. Thank you, Roberto. Have a good one.
Yeah.
It's Kamala. It's not that hard, people. Kamala. Comma. The little thing. La. It's easy. It's like the most basic syllables we have, too. We're not asking you to remember a name like Alexandria, Cornelius, Frankenfurter, Kamala. It's so easy. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip, which that's not true. I actually don't care. I prefer if you liked that clip, but if you didn't like that clip, I'm probably even more glad you're here. There's pizza in the back. Anyway, that's from my channel, The Line, where we do 5 days of call-in shows a week, and we're actually adding 2 more from here to the election that'll be politically themed. Go check out The Line. Also, don't miss Jimmy So Adds a Podcast Tuesdays and Fridays on this channel and wherever you get podcasts. I say wherever, but I think it's just most places you get podcasts.